When you're reading your Bible, I challenge you to think differently. I think Apple made a big deal about that at one time. Think different. When you're reading your Bible, you also have to learn to think different, because it may come as a shock to you, but the ancient Israelites, the ones responsible for this, they did not think like modern Westerners at all. Nope. They thought very differently. We have problems with that in our society. They want the schools want everybody to think linear. Well, what if some kids think in circles? They call them attention deficit disorder people and medicate them. That is not helpful, because some people do think differently in modern society. And in the ancient society, they thought differently. In fact, they tended to think in circles. Was that an entire society and culture of attention deficit disorder people? Maybe. But they did think differently. We think in terms of nouns and verbs and state of being verbs especially. We use a lot of nouns and adjectives. Our world is obsessed with the material. We talk about things. We don't talk so much about what they do, we talk about things. But the ancient Israelites, they would talk about what things did, not what they are or what they're made of. An example of a good Hebrew word would be automobile. It is a device, an object that is self-propelled. It moves automatically, and it moves around, and it's mobile, automobile. But that's how they thought. And to think about your scriptures in terms of function rather than material world is a major challenge, and I dare you to even try it. And I'm going to give you a little example of how that works, which it may not for your mind, but it's the ancient Israelites. So let's see. We're going to put up on screen a most familiar verse called "In the Beginning." Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Well, that's simple for us. He invented it. Poof. Right out of vacuum, he made heavens and earth. That's the way we look at it. That is not the way an ancient Israelite would have looked at it. The word created is the word bara, and it doesn't actually mean bringing something out of nothing. The Hebrews had no such concept. They couldn't even begin to think that way. Everything was always here. It just always was. Try and explain the Big Bang to an ancient Israelite, and he would think that you need counseling from a rabbi. And it says, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. That's the way it reads in ESV. What does an ancient Israelite get out of it? Well, let's read another verse that talks about the beginning, and it adds a little bit more information. We're in Isaiah 45:18 in the ESV. For thus saith the Lord, who created the heavens, who formed the earth and made it. He established it. He did not create it empty. That's the same thing as without form and void, empty. He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord of God, there is no other. God made the earth to function. He intended it for people, animals, plants, all to live here. Each has a function. Plants, animals, day, night, sun, moon, stars, they all have functions. And we're going to get into that in later episodes here about the functions of the beginnings. Because when the Israelite hears the story about in the beginning, the deity did the heavens and the earth, he's thinking function. He's going to hear the story about how things work, how God intended for things to work. There is no beginning, Big Bang theory, or any such thing in his mind. He has no concept whatsoever of that kind of a beginning. He's looking for, how does the world relate to me? How do I live here? What was God's intent that I should live here? What did he set up for me to make use of? These good and wonderful things that I am supposed to have. So that's what we're going to look at in later episodes. We're going to go through this day by day by day in different episodes, and we're going to show you function. Now, can you think differently and think in terms of function instead of the material world? I dare you. Until then, keep looking up at the Master. That's the best thing we can do. Whether we get it right or we get it wrong, the Master always loves us. See you next time.